Um, but yeah, I figure I can wait like maybe like a minute or two, and then I'll go ahead and start. Yeah.
Definitely. Yay, okay, it's now live streaming on YouTube. Woohoo.
Oh, and did you want to make me a co-host so I can still like admit people?
Oh yeah.
Because I guess
Oh
when
my
I
god,
made
I'm
when I
sorry.
made you host,
I'm gonna make you the co-host. Yeah.
Your cousin's here
okay,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, Chris is here too. What's up, Chris? Cuz okay, you're a co-host now, and then I got it to live stream. We're good. And all right, it's all you.
Ingrid, Andy.
I will shut up because you know I can go on and on and
Why
on.
can't I see anyone? Okay, there we go. Never mind. I got it. Hey, Juan. Is Mauricio in here? Hi.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hi, Mauricio. Oh, there you are. Hi, married guy.
Okay, cool. Well, it's 2:05, so I'll go ahead and get us all started. Thank you all for coming. I'm really excited to be hosting this open mic. The soap. Oh, all of Mauricio's family. Hi. So yeah, I'm really excited to be hosting the SoapBox Poets open mic. And yeah, so hi there. So yeah, I thank you all for being here. And so the theme for this month is new beginnings, since I figured this isn't really like this isn't the start of this open mic. It's a continuation, but it's like in a different format because of COVID. So hello. So yeah, so it's kind of like a new beginning. And so in honor of that, I'm actually gonna start us off with a poem. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the open mic. So we're gonna do the open mic for till about 2:30 or so. And then we're gonna go ahead and do our features, and then we'll have another set of open micers to close us off. So basically, it's like a little sandwich. With open mics on the other end, and the features are gonna be the cheese and the meat and all that avocado, whatever you want to put in your sandwich. So yes. So I'm gonna read my poem. It's called The Beginning. Okay. At 8, I write my first poem. It starts with my mom in the kitchen, pouring coffee. Turned around, she doesn't notice the orange and white cat perched on her chair, paws on the table, reaching for her bologna. It runs off, meat flapping between its teeth. I compose silly 4-line poems about how my mom is as grand, majestic, and colorful as a parrot, or how I can't wait to talk to the moon. I stop because I don't know how to say my mom is sick. The doctors don't know why, so they prescribe opiates, benzos, antidepressants, anticonvulsants, until she's more white and blue pills than a mother. My words spurt and even pulled from a laundromat dryer. I can't translate the sounds rattling inside my skull, not into English. Maybe I write a poem in yowls or in cat or the secret language of the moon. How else to write about the grief of having and not having a mother? How else can I find the words steeped in pain to name the hole in my chest where once love grew in the giggles of my 8-year-old self, laughing at my mom's face when she turned around and saw her bologna gone. So this is kind of like my, thank you, that's like my beginning story of how I started to write. And it is like a little bit sad, and it is also vulnerable, and I hope it opens up the space for everyone to, to share your, to share the things that hurt, or, you just, or share your joy, share whatever you want. So, I also forgot to mention, so if you want to sign up for the open mic, you can put beginning in the chat, and then we'll go ahead and then I'll call you up. And then also I'm a big fan of like kind of like icebreaker questions. So I wanted to open it up. So when you, before you start off your piece, and I didn't do this because I forgot because I'm nervous. But the question is, what is something that you started or you began in 2020? And then, so what I started in 2020 that I have never done before is I've been meditating. So I've been doing like a daily meditation and yoga, and I've been doing it for now, I think it's like 174 days. So it's almost been like 6 months. And so yeah, so that's my beginning for this year. And so let's start off with the open mic. And I think Juan is the first person up that I see. So Juan, go ahead. I think you're in mute.
Famous last words. Oh, I'm gonna have to move out of here. Actually, I have to change.
Oh no, I just lowered mine.
Oh, awesome.
But you gotta raise your volume so you can hear.
I also still I kind of wasn't prepared. I have to go get my stuff in the other room. If you give me a second.
Okay, Jessica, did you want to go? And then we'll go back to Juan.
Hi everyone. Oh, no, your thing is
Sorry.
crazy. There we go. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over this.
So, yeah, thank you everybody, and just I want to give snaps. Let's give applause for Gato Ska, the new host of the SoapBox Poets Open Mic. I'm really happy to see everyone here. Happy to be here, and this is the LA Poet Society's first show. This is our baby, 11 years ago. So we're also celebrating 11 years of the SoapBox. So it's like woohoo! Lots of new beginnings, lots of great beginnings here, and legacy continuation. So the poem I wanted to read to you, I guess two. I don't know. I'll start with this and we'll see what happens. So this is kind of a call and response poem. When I have my hands kind of like this, join me. Join me in yelling something out. It's called Scream for Them. I'm trying to find it. There it is. Aha. I've been doing that, Ingrid, that whole like rolling scroll of a poem, like when like Word doc and just keep adding more, like that's kind of been working out for me. So thank you for that. All right, this is called Scream Together, or Scream to Get Them. When we get out, we will all get out. When we scream to get the kids out, they will all know the kids are there in a cage, alone and cold, cramped, and their young lives passing by, days and days, months to years. For what? What could a child do? When we scream, let the kids out, who will join me? Let the kids out. When we yell, open the gate, who will join me? Open the gate. And when the gate squeaks open, will it open from the inside, or will you help me push it? Who will join me in pulling the children out? Who will join me in sheltering them? Who will join me in nourishing them? Who will help me in drying their tears and telling them, don't worry, we will protect you? Do you think they will believe us? Who of you will help me scream, let the kids out, let the kids out, let the kids out? All right, and this the last poem I'm gonna do for now, and if there's time, maybe I can do another one in a little bit later or something. But big love to everyone. And the next poem is called Rejected Little Brown Girl. And I dedicate this poem to Vanessa Guillen and all murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. Rejected little brown girl, there you are, questioning how you measure up to a face of abrasive white mirrors. Hair that was discarded because it was you, little brown girl. You bottled up in the colonial bubble that you didn't speak of or know its name. You knew it was you, little brown girl. Just because your hair was nearly black, always straight, wouldn't curl no matter how many times a perm was tried. And eyes big and dark, hungry for food to be appealing again, softening up to these elder women. But you didn't know. What was normal? What was normal? Dinner at Denny's? Them smoking into the rear view mirror? Sticking my neck out to an inch of a window as we drove on the ride home? Or that time when my short hair confused everyone of what sex I was, if I was old enough to spread whatever that meant. All the ways I tried on that identity. I'm white. They'll see it. My name confuses them. Am I convincing? I am tired of caring. Tired of feeling that dread, that reaction, that measure of success that ranks me to them. Not white enough. Us and more. Not white enough. That excess. That battle we fight. Because we're not white enough. Because we're not white. And we fight and we fight to achieve, no matter what the difficulty. Bring it on. Fail forward or succeed. Rise up. We shall. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for sharing your powerful words. They always they always hit right here for me. So your work is always really powerful, and I really appreciate that first piece, because you really, like, those kids in cages like that. Yeah, no, that's not, I mean, nobody in cages is okay, and but the kids, yeah, that's not. We need to end out. We need to get them out. So thank you for sharing that. And then I don't. Did you answer the question about the beginnings also?
Oh, my beginnings of the
Yes.
year.
Yeah. Or what new beginning did you have this year?
Oh, dang! I have like a lot every month. Well, the new beginnings of this year is definitely letting more folks help take over the LA Poet Society. It's just been a blessing. It was because of COVID. Like, I was like, in March, I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm not doing anything. I'm depressed. F this. And then I was like, damn, there's 2,000 people that are following. I'm like, this is good. I can't drop the ball. So I was like, let's let other people take over. And ever since then, it's just been doing so well. And it's been great to see all this beautiful energy collectively, just, everything coming together. So yeah, letting more people take over. take over the group. That's a new beginning.
Okay, no, that's great. I think it's always really, I think it's hard sometimes to like share something that you created with other people, but I think it's really good to do that. Okay, so up next is Juan, if he's ready. Let me see.
Yeah,
Are you
I
ready?
am totally ready. Hi,
Okay.
hi, Gato. Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Thank you for holding the space. Thank you to Gato and thank you to Jessica and to all of you, beautiful community, for being here. It is really it's really a blessing to have a space right now and be able to share. I want to talk about my book that was published this year, The Beat of an Immigrant Chicano, and this book is poetry and stories about me crossing the border and you know, the epiphany of becoming a Chicano, of being a Chicano here in LA. I want to read a couple poems from here, if that's okay. This is off page 44 called A Madman's Voice. And here comes. A madman's voice. Holy, the hearer's drums and jazz behind the ear. And the groaning saxophone's supernatural, intelligent precision. Sound wave fanatics, achieving religion and a squealing climax connected to the living mother, whose snake words dance and skip through your long desert highway, dry tongue, wet from tequila that lubricated these vocal cords. Oh, beauty invisible to my century, ever unknowable, note my acknowledgement, trembling, disintegrating. I've seen subliminal messages and nightmares rising in creation, crazier than a sunbeam, breathing in fog from the Inca mountains. I sacrifice my senses in the altar of mass neurological migration to enlightenment as naked gold angels piss tar on demons with the glory and grace of their home. Confusing delight hits their tongues in disbelief. Mischievous lust humors the fools. Solitude, are you an egocentric skyscraper smiling behind a veil of intrigued tears? You've wept enough for a dark cloak and a name like Hitler. You sanded alchemy and war, and you shaved machine guns after rust and moss. You've crawled armed in the tall grass of the innocent. Which notion make doves wander around your head? What nostalgia voided compassion and empathy? What made your skull into stone? So that was a madman's voice, and here here's another one from this book. This one's called Desert Baptized, page 27. I am a living sacrifice. I am the story of the boy going to sleep with a rumbling, hungry stomach. The story of being ignored by my father. That poem of a heartache of that mother who was betrayed along with her 4 children. And she cried out loud and ran down the hall and upstairs, and where in her most miserable and demeaning backstab almost jumped off the balcony to enter pain. That short dialogue of crying questions, confusion, that vivid stanza just about a tear who got lost in the small gathering pond that the kid cried, shrugged. The lines rhyme, the pipe tunnel crossed the hill. A guard ship had made a deal to look the other way, but in darkness we stayed, waiting for hours for someone to say the word to start climbing up to the USA. A guard shift that never took place. The prose starts, we've just crawled underneath the US border, the coyote and I, our clothes dust yellow, desert baptized, a roadless pilgrimage awaited us. He never said the word to go, the urgency in his first step signaled me. A coyote and a child traveler are seen walking up and down the hills at the mercy of an Indian summer sun. An immigration patrol then pulls over right next to them. Ignoring the fact they are traveling north, he hurried to ask, where are you going? Coyote's trickster's tongue that turned into a snake said to the officer, we're just picking up cans, my son and I. My wife is sick, in Espanol. If I see you again, I'll take you, Avocado said. belonged to chance and wit for that instant while my mind prayed in mercy for a pass. The feel of most of the pages you've read, the unwritten conclusion. What kind of story has no end? This living, breathing one, a book unfinished. This is off my book, The Beat of an Immigrant Chicano. I'll put the links in the chat if anyone's interested. I just made a page on Goodreads. Like I just did that whole thing. I don't know. I'm just trying everywhere I can or whatever. And I don't know. It was an easy. I have to get better with this computer. Anyways, check it out. I'll put my link in there. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for listening. Hi, Chris.
Thank you, Juan. Yeah, that's the Beat of the Immigrant Chicano. That's I have that book. I really enjoyed reading it. And yeah, I think all of our stories, especially our stories about migrating and coming here, are so important, and I think they need to be told. So yeah, I appreciate that book. For I'm also an immigrant, but my story is very different. So I really appreciated hearing a different perspective. So yeah, throw that link in the chat, and if y'all liked what you heard, I hope you buy a copy and support your artists in the community. And that ending also of that last poem, like, yeah, that was the unfinished book. Yeah, like that's that's all of our lives right now, and there's still unfinished, and there's there's gonna be so many more stories we're gonna be writing, because this is only really the beginning. So up next, we're gonna have, and I'm sorry if I don't pronounce this correctly, but Ideas. Cool. Okay, you're up next.
What's good, everybody? What's up, La Change Poet Society? Let's get some love in the house. Get some love in the house. Yo, it's good to come in here every year, celebrate 11 years. Get a snap for that for Jessica. Get a hands up for Juan. Get a hands up for all the poets. What's good, COVID? You haven't stopped us yet, huh? Poets are still making their money. We're still doing our game. We're still speaking that good word. Man, all right. Woo. This is one of my favorite pieces. It's called Let Me Kiss the Raindrops. Let me just kiss the raindrops once again. Let me just feel your bodies around your liquids. Let me just sing lullabies around us. Let me just feel the cold around the sidewalks. Let me run down the gutter. Let me run down to you. Let me kiss the raindrop at the top of the roof nights. Let's make America great again. Nah, scratch that. Let's make America black again. Black businesses, black teachers, black educators, black own everything. Let me just feel my top of my own true footsteps. Let me walk down the own land. Let me hear the tone of the cry. Let me sing freedom rise every time I feel it. Let me just kiss the raindrops to you. Let me know where we are gone again. Let the freedom blossom around my own true ancestors. Let me dream of the beautiful poetry. Let me speak of justice. Let me speak of honor. Let me speak of respect. Let me speak something out that no one else can really feel my energy crying around it. Let me feel the depth around my people. Let me hear Breonna Taylor. Let me hear George Floyd. Let me hear Freddie Gray. Let me hear Trayvon Martin. Let me kiss the raindrops once again. Let me hear La Change and Poetry Society. Let me hear my poetry. Let me hear Freedom of Speech Thursdays. Let me hear Screen Time. Let me hear War Stage Press. Let me hear The War Stage. Let me hear Get Next. Let me hear all the poets around us. Give me the energy. Give me the energy. Give me the energy, because our freedom is raising. Our freedom is something we are there. Let's make America great again. Scratch that. Let's make America black again. Black teachers, black educators, black businesses, black poets, black memories, Let's stand up for justice once again. The job is not done yet. We are still living in the Jim Crow Act. We're still being police brutality. We're still going out there being afraid of being next to each other because I want to stand up my own true freedom. For once, let me kiss the raindrops to you. Let me sing lullabies. Let me run down that sidewalk and say freedom and rise inside of me. For once, let me love you, poet. Peace.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ideas, for that fire. That was wow. That I think I needed to hear that. That was really great. Thank you so much for sharing. Did you want to do another
Thank
piece?
you. No, I really wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you, everybody, 2019 was not a best year for me. I was diagnosed with lupus. I had an autoimmune disease. I had to really give up the dreams I have. I know it's when 2020 came, I guess we wasn't ready to deal with this pandemic, but I have really changed my life condition. I changed the way I think, the way I feel. I meditate. I chant Namyo Horenge. I changed my whole diet of becoming a vegan. That means that's plant-based, and that means that's a lot of herbs, a lot of liquids, a lot of vitamins. You know, I know this whole COVID has really changed people's mentality, but when it comes down to writing poetry and doing the things I love, once again, it really has manifested. So please don't let this get to you. Please continue writing. Please continue doing something positive in this world, because I know it's a lot of dysfunctional things going out there, because as poets, we are the breaking news. We are the encouragement. We are the peace and of the justice. So we are the one who can really stand for what rights and what's good and not. So when you on Zoom or you doing Instagram and when you're doing these open mics, bring that fire wherever you go, because perform like it's your last moment. Perform as your last chance. Perform like you never performed. So when I was diagnosed with lupus and diagnosed, because I really do have chronic eczema on my whole body, I have to really change that karma around. So when I get on Zoom, when I get on Instagram, when I take pictures of all the foods and everything, I really change my body. So it's right now, folks, COVID-19, it's just a wake-up call. It's about changing your karma. It's about changing something around you. It's about changing your communities. It's about changing something. So be kind to people. Be real with people. Don't be fake. So it's about really having a strong victory for 2021 for all of us in this world, around the country. We are doing something positive through the Zoom, through Instagram, through Facebook, whatever you at. Please do not give up. Do not surrender, and damn well do not back down. Because yeah, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is elected, but the job ain't done yet. Our job ain't done. So let's get to work, folks. Peace.
Wow, thank you for that inspiration. That was, yeah, amazing. Like, don't give up, don't surrender, and we got to keep fighting, because yeah, absolutely. Like this, things haven't changed. Like, we need to continue to doing what we're doing and being real. I think that's really important, like being authentic to who we are. So thank you so much, Ideas, for sharing that with us, and sharing your struggle and everything. Thank you. And I think that's it's a great tone for this open mic so far. Thank you everyone for sharing. I'm loving the energy so far. We're gonna have one more open micer, and then we're gonna go ahead and get into our features. If anybody else wants to be we're gonna have an open mic after the features as well. So whoever wants to be on the open mic, just type beginnings into the chat, and then we'll put you on after the open micers. So our next open micer is going to be, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced this, Kundan. If you're here.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you for coming.
Hi.
I'm excited to hear your words today.
Hi. Wait, right now?
Yes. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right. This is a new poem that I wrote last Sunday, and it's called Rage Against Toxic Positivity. What were you wearing? The new age whitewash coaching industry version of that is, what was your thinking? What were the negative thoughts that attracted that to you? The burden of mentally weak as another stone added onto the psychological and emotional scars of abuse. The hot red cheeks of head down, chest in, crushing silence added on to the violence. Why is having a victim mentality regarded as the most shameful thing in the world in the whitewashed coaching industry? Isn't having a bully mentality what's actually shameful? Why is bully mentality not even a term in the industry? Why do so many posture as strong and confident, overcompensating for the weakling coward archetype by veering off into the other extreme of the misled, confused tyrant? Do you realize that the total lack of vulnerability ironically makes you even more vulnerable to manipulation when your self-image of being a strong person matters more than asking for help, empathy, and wisdom? In other words, you are ironically more likely to become a victim if your self-image of not being a victim matters more to you than actually not being a victim. So isn't it time for the heavy burden of shame to shift back to its rightful place from victim to bully, perpetrator, abuser, oppressor? Thank you. Oh, and you're muted. I can't
Oh
hear
yeah,
you.
yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Like it's so important. Like yeah, the being vulnerable and like the way that society always makes us feel that like yeah we have to be like strong, and then it's just like bullies are upheld where it's like no, they like the people who are like the softest and the most vulnerable, like we're the magic ones. So thank you for that.
Mm.
We're gonna go ahead and oh yeah, and also like throw your IG handles, your websites, anything into the chat so that way we can stay connected. And now we're gonna go ahead
Okay, I'll
and
do that. Thank you.
yeah. Did you want to share anything else or
Is there time to share one more?
yeah, if you want to share one more, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because there is a short story that I wanted to share as well. Yeah. All right, so this is called it's an allegory. The Squirrel, the Snake, and the Seahorse, a fable by Kundan Chabra. Squirrel came to a river in a moment of the dust settling into the bottom of the river and the resulting clear transparency. It saw a strange creature, a tiny horse that was swimming underwater vertically. How could that be? Squirrel jumped in and swam into the middle to take a closer look. Seahorse felt a disturbance, got curious too, then climbed up to say, "Hi." Squirrel offered to put Seahorse on its back to visit Squirrel Land. When it reached Squirrel Land, Squirrel climbed up a tree. Seahorse was in awe. "How did you do that?" Seahorse tried to climb, but it could not. Squirrel laughed at the seahorse. "Nah, nah, 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 nah. You can't even climb a tree." This embarrassed Seahorse. Poor Seahorse was sad. Then Squirrel said haughtily, "Why are you so embarrassed and sad? It's your choice to be happy or not." Now, narrative side note, in psychology, this is known as gaslighting instead of taking responsibility and accountability for harmful impact. And so a wise snake witnessing all this, who could climb trees and swim underwater, said, "No, it's not a choice. Squirrel, you must take responsibility for your impact on Seahorse." And Seahorse might want to take their story to its completion, but it's not an on-off switch. Emotions are complex, more like a dimmer switch, deeply connected to each other's stories. Seahorse, be proud that you can swim underwater despite not being able to climb a tree. How marvelous. And Squirrel, be proud that you can swim underwater despite not being able to climb a tree. How amazing. But don't make fun. Squirrel, be proud that you can climb a tree, but don't make fun of those who can't. After all, you can't swim underwater. And most of all, revel in your very existence itself. You are you, with or without your achievements and ability. You deserve peace, love, respect, joy, freedom, and pleasure exactly as you are. Your very existence is to be celebrated. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. I love that allegory. Like I love animal allegories, and yeah, I think there's just so much depth to that story. Like yeah, about, and I love that you mentioned how you made an example of gaslighting, and also just, you know, how it's like we all have different strengths, and you know, we should be happy with who we are, and you know, and not feel like compare ourselves to other people or want to do something that someone else is doing. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with our features. So yeah, so our first feature of the afternoon is gonna be Nadia, and I'm really excited to have her feature. Like the first time that I saw her was actually at another one of her features open mics. And I just loved her energy, and it just, you know, I don't know, like I don't usually always make friends right away, but I just felt really connected to Nadia. So so I was really excited that she agreed to read for us today. So I'm going to read her bio and then let her give her the stage. Okay, and then she is here. Oh yeah, okay, cool. So Nadia, pronouns she and they, is no stranger to new beginnings. This Swana writer, artist, person who learns by making things moved out here from Michigan in 2016, and it was a journey of its own to find her poetry community. Even though home has been its own meditation in her life, she's always found this concept among her fellow expressive, creative kind. She doesn't care to list accomplishments or awards to build credibility because she believes that should only be found when we hear each other's words. But if you want to check out her community arts project of the past, or her 2019 chapbook, Yella Habibi, it's on her website at nadiaalama.com. Drop a line and say hi via Insta at Nadia the Llama. She's always down to talk about life and creative things in this world full of chaos, questions, and joy. Okay, so Nadia, go ahead and take it away. Excited to hear your words.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. Thank you so much. I will express my gratitude in detail and share things at the end in chat. I made you a 20-minute mixtape of sorts of a narrative of love, home, and new beginnings, content warnings, blasphemy, ideation, family history, abusive relationships, and body parts, just a blanket content warning because that will be throughout, so heads up. But thank you very much, and thank you for the lovely introduction, and I love your energy, and I'm very grateful for you. And let's begin. Okay, well, thank you. All right. So part one, the situation. Room for rent where the heart is. Somehow when I wasn't looking, I put up a listing that should never have been written. Before I let anyone make a home out of my heart, know that I can't just let any tenant in, because the last few smashed the windows and gutted the walls of their copper, ripped up the floorboards and left nothing salvageable except for the foundations, and it's my fault for not being careful. I need to stop leasing my heart out to people who trash it or abandon it at the first sign of neglect. or try to rework and remodel it because apparently it's not good enough as is, or try to reassess the property value to determine whether it has enough potential. Eventually, there needs to be someone out there who can just love this house for what it is. A bit quirky, a bit cracked, but in spite of the patch-ups and weird accents, a home to take shelter in, standing humble and whole and one of a kind, where I choose to make changes instead of someone trying to make them for me. But still it's treated like something it's not. A house is not a dollhouse, and my heart is aching from the appraisal, and I am sick of being played with. Either way, for now, I can't accept applicants. It's not about credit or references, it's just that I haven't lived here in a while. And I let the corners cobweb and the paint chip and fade, and there's mildew eating the walls and an excess of emotional baggage in the cellar, and the garden's overgrown, and so it's no condition to be a home for anyone. And so I need to clean and pick up a manual for homeowners on how to fix the state of being one is in. Because it's so wrecked, I don't remember what kind of dwelling this is supposed to be, and I try to give the keys away so soon. And I really wish I could have someone here and make tea and grow them flowers and read them all my favorite poems, but the truth is, I have to fill the spaces silent with my own song and let the sounds revive this ghost house before I dare to hope to hear the melody of another. Though I'll still allow visits every now and then if a bit of clutter is fine, that I'm slowly clearing up. If we can pull a few weeds and then sit on the porch and watch the sunset, so long as this house stays mine, maybe I'll eventually change my mind and trust enough to share it. The problem with being disposed of is that you're treated as if you have no value. You are spent now. Trade me in for a newer model. The problem with being disposed of is that you were told I was a commodity. I am the hands that wash your clothes, but not the mouth that speaks or asks questions. The problem with this is that broken echoes a split in the system, please. I am still human. If you are not a gardener, you do not know that even when plants appear dead, their root systems still live. And yet when the net grows cold, you call it done. Clean off your plate. Leave it for the next to wash. Did you know people throw out perfectly beautiful things? They're still new, but they are unwanted. They still have luster, but the beholder grows bored. We are told that what we have is never enough. So maybe I am best with a scavenger. Someone who sees the beauty and the cast aside. Once they find something they like, they never let it go. Part 2, Digging Up Roots. This poem is from Yalla Habibi. It has some little vignettes of from my family history, so just wanted to give you that before I started it. He who stands when his wife enters the room, forcing all to acknowledge she who is queen among her court. Crazed and outraged, he stormed the French embassy in his red pajamas, demanding his pension for having fought as they denied him all the shame, the bottle he took to. This is the same, the bottle he took to in his shame. A velvet suit worn in Kuwaiti summer because it was the only one he had, and he dressed to impress, to bring something to his family. Elder married too many times, fell in love with the maiden, relinquished his most precious commodity, his name, and took hers to have her by his side. These are the legends I must live with. These are the men who gave and took, brilliant and burning, flames in the wind. This is the only side of the story to have survived. This is the torch I won't pass on. Where are the women in our stories? Mine were threatened with gasoline. Mine stayed in the shadows. I am not yours to take. Subset 2, Religion. This is content warning blasphemy. They say that Maryam had Isa because a woman could never be a prophet. And they enshroud her in chastity as if to wipe away that her child still grew to be revolutionary. Tell me why it's not enough that in a sea of disapproval she could but point and stay silent. Tell me how you could speak when your loved ones cast shame like stones. Tell me how the sting of this could collect and pool the lump in your throat. And it wasn't her fault. She didn't want this. At least she was granted the shroud of chastity. On her own, she would never commit an error. This is what they say in reverence of her. Know that in this world we have no shortage of strong women. Asiya defies Pharaoh and takes in a basket babe. Sheba builds an army. Nusayba takes up the sword in secret because she can also fight, but none of them are chosen to speak revelations as prophets. With this framework, then, how am I supposed to speak my mind? Ibtisam changes his bandages and wipes the sweat from his brow as his skin falls off in tatters, as everyone else turns away. Ayub, Job, is so patient. He loses his friends and wealth, but why do we ever hear of her name? And why are my prophets left to the sidelines? We only know of her by her hands in his life. With this framework, then, how am I supposed to speak my mind? I am to bathe his feet in the river. I am to live and die in NPC while he wows the world with his many feats, while he listens to God in the cave. I am to clip the sheets to clotheslines and not strangle myself with the wires. But my God, how would be more eventful? Where are the women prophets? Tell me why God decided that we would never be enough. I am told that ours would never be taken seriously and that no one would listen to her. With this framework, then, how am I supposed to speak my mind? Because my body is corrupt, because I can make sin, for I am wild, for by these archaic laws my pussy would be danger. I am not to go into the canyon and let the wind tangle my hair into weeds. My soul cleansing is animal. I am searching in the dirt for the pieces I have tried to give to everyone else. All that is left of me, all that they would have wanted of me, they take but leave my words. This is what the stories teach me, that we are most valuable in the shadows. And the sand eases me in. The more I dig, the less I can escape. Just bury me here if I am told my words will never be enough, because they will never really listen to us. Because Hawa knows we are meant to take the blame just a bit heavier. Explain why, when we were cast out, she wasn't made prophet. This would have been the perfect opportunity, we think. If what has been attributed to femininity would be considered wisdom, even if it is meant to define humanity, and yet it is isolated. I am meant to caress and comfort, to take all that is given me, accept all terms without rebuke, and to be cursed when lips connect words. Forget me in the caves of memory, leave me in a Denny's, dispose of me with the paper cups when the words sound inconvenient, when they stoke the fire of your ego. We were never prophets because we were known first as witches. I have a theory now, that somewhere in this tapestry ours were rewritten. It has to be a lie that only men were chosen to hear voices in the spaces of solitude to guide others along their philosophical ideals. Truth is, everyone can speak, and we do. It's just that we have a plague of excessive selective hearing. It's just that our memory gets so foggy in some places. Ask Amina. Ask the woman who found Musa and gave him water when he would have died of thirst. Ask the names that would have been eroded from the tablets if we had ever thought to write them down. Ask me why I'd care. It's not that everyone needs to be the leader. It's that under these laws, the job description for this one seems to have read, no women need apply. Tell me at best why, when this question is asked, the answer is, I don't know. It's always at best a maybe. So, I timed this for like 20 minutes. I could skip like a poem or two. Just let me know if if you need me to.
No, you're good. Keep going. This is amazing. It's filling me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, awesome. Subset 3 of digging up roots is in myth. So like the first part is like, like the problem setup, like the difficulty, the post, the breakup, and then the second part is like digging into like the behind the scenes of what could be leading into internal stuff. Okay. Girl who hopes for a home, who treats men like beds to sleep in, like a safe place to come home to at the end of the day. Why are you looking for someone to fall asleep in? You are wild and changing, and you shouldn't fall asleep. You let yourself lie dormant, and then you lose the best parts of you. And then years later, you wake up and ask yourself where all the time passed. Why didn't you finish the things you started? Why did falling in love with someone become a project? In this regard, you have failed so many projects with different men. Why are you trying to create projects where projects are not meant to be created? Building homes on unsteady foundations and then watching them crumble? And as you walk away, seeing that you have left parts of yourself behind in those fractured structures? Do you know that men are not Atlas? That after a while it is hard to hold up a house, that your bones break under the supports? Do you know that he wants to build a house around a tree and not on top of it? Are you hoping that he will relinquish his bones to the foundation so that you can brew coffee on his lips and drink it from the hollow of his throat? Did you make your cocoon there? What did you do the last time someone tried to build home in you? Were you aware that when he tried to build a home, it wasn't really a structure using your body, and you felt stifled because he built the house around you? And you tore at his hair, and your screams echoed as they split into pieces while they bounced off the walls. And everyone looked in, but you were the only person who could pull yourself out. And when another built a home in you, you ripped him out of your heart and displaced him even as he protested, for you could not allow yourself to be carved into a nesting doll. When Odysseus and Penelope built their house around and carved their bed out of a tree, even while he was away for 20 years and she couldn't extract herself from a foundation that impregnable, maybe in a fractured sense, these rules applied to another world. Why did you want to be Penelope? Men go on voyages and leave you tending to a structure on your own. Maybe you were meant to be a nomad and carry your own house on your shoulders and wander through the sagebrush and look at the countryside and crashing waves. And also that way, when someone comes a little too close, you have a safe place to crawl into when otherwise afraid. Is there a way to live without a house? Is there a way to make a home with someone without losing the elements that make up who you are? And while you do not have the answers yet, you're wondering if it starts with using both sets of hands to plant the tree, if it means building 2 houses and a bridge between them, if it's as simple as keeping the houses of each on separate shoulders. It is hard work holding the bones of a house together when the earth is constantly shifting and trying to rework itself anew. When it grows restless beneath our feet. Can we build castles out of clouds? Or are the air currents no less safer? Take me from this construction site. Let me keep on wandering. I want my hands to be enough. I want my hands to be enough. Interlude. In a box, I search for meaning. On the street, I find hope always greater than myself. In the sunset and in those passing by, in waves that take the beach, in wandering, the self feels like a constraint. While I am here, I will hold space for you within the definition of me until I lose the lines between my body and the sky. I fracture with each breath, walking on broken glass, disintegrating into the pile, no longer a reflective surface, abandoning all premise. So long as I have this brain, I will remember you. I will hold on to the memory of you until it works no longer. This is the sound of glass breaking. This is the sight of cities reddening. This is a paper unfolded gently, picked up off the street. And I question the scrawls left on dog-eared corners, wishing I could write back. Part 3, the finding. Self-care is a war when your house is on fire. The neighbors pass by and don't take a second look because it's been that way for some time now. Because everyone expects it. It's a tourist landmark to be admired briefly before passing on to the next. Gawk at the heat shimmer funhouse distorting the structure of it. Take a selfie with it. Smile. Click. Say you've been here. You have proof now. My house has been on fire, and its joints are aching. How am I supposed to rest when this place is no longer capable of that purpose? I cannot provide shelter, and yet, if I want to find water to douse the flames, I must first draw from the wellspring of my center. Truly, when we want to help others, that's when it's hardest to help ourselves. Fight at all costs this battle, even if when others look on, they expect you to spend every last effort solely on containing the wreckage. Even if you're tired, especially when you're tired. You'll have to get back up. It doesn't matter what they say when you need to step away. They will shout that I'm running. They'll let the accusation of arson fall like cinders from their lips, but we know it was their father's hands who cast the torches in through the window, who forced their way in, came into my house, took from my culture, told me mine wasn't civilized, told me to emulate them instead, said this was trash and ripped copper and kept it for themselves, replaced it with plastic, took what they needed, and once safely away, set the explosives to detonate, to keep us from having the strength to build proper. And all my life, I have lived in a house built by the descendants of destroyers, seeing the smoke signals in the distance from the myth of family past and wondering why I felt so helpless. Spread between continents, gathering what I can to understand, learning where to start and how to dream. It is the steepest hill to climb, to find your reflection at the top and tell it that it deserves happiness, that it is not an it, but a you. Every day, I've pushed away my greatest loves because I have felt unclean. But when I pick up the pen and the paintbrush, I find my soul again. The sun on my skin and the wind in my hair. I find the forest after the fire. And when I find nature, I find myself. And after fragmentation and the spaces of aloneness, I become all one. Even though I have felt undeserving and unworthy, I have to ask why. Has your house ever asked itself if it was worthy of being a house? Has it examined the floorboard and doorways and cobweb closets and asked if it was meant to be what it was? It just was. And you are. You just are. And as your house needs to be cared for, so do you. And if I do not search and see what this house in my heart is made of, then I might never grow strong enough to do my part in helping home see the end of its flames. Even firefighters take breaks. They don't take their meals in the ashes. Their lungs are not adapted to smoke. Tracing the scorch marks of the structure's aftermath, I remember that there are architects now making homes of charred wood, that there is beauty in its transformation. Even if I could unburn the fire, I must rebuild. Defining self-care comes from your own discovery, from within the house and its rebuilding. Under all that fire is the house, and the fire does not define the house, just as the fire does not alone define me. But it will start with what seeds I plant in the soil after. What I will grow around the home I'll build with these hands. General reminders. Your friends and family love and care about you. We all have our limitations and need our own space and time. There are many things you love about life. Grow calm before making decisions. What hurt you is in the past. You are smart and make good decisions about who you let in. Those who are here out of love and are respectful and they care. The ones close to you would never deliberately or intentionally hurt you. You are stronger than your fears. And I will leave you with this. The future. Sprawl out a roadmap on the back of a paper napkin. Sprawl out over the grasses and watch the stars, wondering just what it all means. Paint sunsets on your palm so that when you hide your face in them, when they collect, the catastrophic thoughts condensed, pocket-sized storms funneling to a point, that the sky fire of bent light will prism that shit into something fierce and beautiful. Because what's in your heart is in the land and the seas and in the sky. Because the storms need release to make way for the peace that follows. Because when you let yourself get lost, sometimes you find out what you were looking for all along. Sometimes it's not what you expected. Sometimes there's nothing at all. And isn't that what the map is for? Made to be lost and then remade. Just like you keep finding yourself absent-mindedly scrolling maps in the margins, just like you're always finding your way and getting lost again. Just like you learn to enjoy being lost. Just like it's tough to say which fills your soul more, the calm in your lungs or the hair-raising storm. Just like the one constant in all of this is to just keep on moving, and you keep moving, and you keep trying your hand at painting sunsets and making maps, even when the rain thins out the paint and splotches the paper. You keep getting lost in the sunsets and the stars. And the road is somehow farther away than it's ever been, and yet, somehow, that's fine. They're a guide, but not a rule. And to wander is to go on, seeing where it all leads. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you.
Wow, that was so amazing, Nadia. Thank you so much. So powerful. There's so many great comments. If you look in the chat, everyone is definitely loving your work. And it's just so powerful. Your energy always just blows me away. I feel like you speak from your heart all the time. And I know that can be hard. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing today. Like I think I was cold before because like it's like so windy outside, but like now I'm like warm. I'm like I need to like start taking clothes off here because it's y'all are fire. So now I'm gonna go ahead and introduce our second feature of the night, who's Andy, and they I actually featured with them at La Palabra. I think it was like a year ago. And I just like hearing their words. It felt like, I don't know, it felt like it was the second part of like my healing journey. I was seeing what I wanted to be, like in my second book. And so it was just, it was really great. And I really connected and I felt seen in their words. So I'm really happy that they agreed to feature today. I'm going to go ahead and read their bio. Andy is a Mexican poet from DF. Their writing journey entails delving into the intricate relationships to family and how that has translated into romantic relationships as an adult while exploring their sexuality and coming into their gender identity. Their book, This Body, will be released on December 16th, 2020. And oh yes, I'm so excited for their upcoming book. Yeah, okay. So go ahead, Andy, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Carl. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this open mic today. And, being in community after a long week of crazy stress, I'm just happy to be around other like-minded folks. It feels great. And thanks to Los Angeles Poets Society for, creating these platforms for us to be able to gather and have space to interact with one another. Talking about beginnings, I was kind of going through my poems and figuring out, okay, like what pieces can I share? And so some of the pieces are kind of like prior to kind of like what prompted, new beginnings to happen for me. And then, just kind of like the healing process of some of these different things that I mentioned. So I actually moved around a lot in general. I went kind of thought about all of the different addresses that I've lived at, and I've lived in about 20 different addresses in my lifetime. And so there's been a lot of different points of starting over and beginning again. And so I'd like to start off by reading a poem called I Am My Roots. And it'll kind of give you an idea of, all the different, a little bit of my journey. At first, I was from the motherland. Frijoles con queso y bolillo raised me. Corn tortillas kept me alive. I'm from where the eagle perched on nopales, green as the mountains the Aztecs call home, white as jicama con chile and limon, red as the blood of my indigenous mothers. I came from abuelos raising me as their own for 2 years. From pan dulce that sweetened the days I mourned the absence of my parents. I came from el temblor del 85 that shook all the fear out of me. From weekly shots recommended for my fragile, anemic body at 4. From my first crush on the neighbor across the street. From the life on techos and macetas hanging in my grandmother's jardín. I left custom-made baby clothes bought with my mother's work in la tortilleria for secondhand clothes given to my father by his coworkers, traded homemade sopas for cheeseburgers made the American way. Santa Ana raised me for a few years, taught me English, but my mother never let me forget my first language, so I kept my Mexican accent cemented on my tongue. Tustin became my 4th and 5th home here. I quickly learned my differences when a rock split my head open. What are you? Where are you from? Became questions I could not answer, even when I felt the drips of blood from my wound. Cali kept my heart always, but I was raised in a city translated from the meadows. Las Vegas blazing desert summers. The rays seep deep in my skin, each day browning more. Red rocks became my playground. I wore a cap and gown for the first time in my lineage, repeated again 6 years later. Destiny called. I have never dug a hole deep enough to hold my roots in place. Until now, I've only encountered malnourished soil, too soft to hold me down. My 18-year-old sister helped me drive my green Ford SUV back east near the Potomac River. Military base and Pentagon were my backyard, the Smithsonian offering free history at my fingertips. Again, hardly any history was mine. None of the apartments I lived in could hold enough of my sadness, so it overpoured into the streets. Made it to my work desk where I embraced my passion for health. I learned to travel, took myself on road trips to escape the isolation. First planned trips, made a list of places I would go, then packed my tiny car, watched it get shipped back west. I arrived in the city of angels on March 10th, 2013, with a broken heart but more hope. I learned to become a master, cap and gown now becoming a legacy. Unpacked years of trauma, became my true self, learned my way around the freeways and the neighborhoods, made significant friendships. I still struggle with calling any place home. Pack, unpack, repack, live out of boxes, survive with the lessons from when this journey began. I am temporary, like how my spirit lives in this body, temporary. I claim no hood. Like my ancestors, I settle where I can find a warm place to sleep and enough nourishment to guide me through this passage. I am not local. I am seeds in the wind, leaving trees and flowers that eventually turn into beautiful fields near unplanned rest stops along the roads. I am of this world. I am from the earth. All right. So that's a little bit of my journey. So like I mentioned in my poem, I grew up in Las Vegas, and, going there as a tourist and seeing, the glamour and the lights and all the stuff that people go there for is very different than actually living there, especially as a kid and, having all of these different things in your face. So this next poem that I'll share is kind of like actually a precursor to like the poem that I just read. So this is like prior to all. And it's called Viva Las Vegas. My introduction to the city I grew up in lies in the iconic Las Vegas sign sitting at the entrance to the city of sin. Sex stores filled with lustful onlookers that have never seen a warehouse full of sex toys for every occasion. Sex sells in broad daylight on every billboard and taxicab rooftop, writing boulevards of broken dreams and a wealth of unreachable illusion. Needing what home lacks. Gambling is people's refuge, hoping to make it big. ATMs made available to partake in a system that is rigged. Strippers seen as gold mines, passing coke lines from their bare skin that glistens under neon lights. The underground of trafficking of women and children goes unheard of and even more unseen. Escorts, glorified sex workers, prostitution legal in bunny ranches outside of city limits. Money being thrown around like colorful confetti, landing at the feet of double shifts and minimum wage, sacrifices that locals have to make 24/7. Lights, glamour, and drinking, a lifestyle invited to the depressed now sing at losing all they came with, along with their souls and self-respect. Smoke infiltrates clothing while liquor breath poisons sane minds. Reality, now waiting to hold them accountable. If only Alcoholics Anonymous was as easily surmountable. The motto is, what happens here stays here, so I left. In fear I would get stuck there like regrettable secrets and the 1-cent cash out tickets that everyone forgets. All right, so that was Las Vegas. And, and growing up there, a lot of the stuff, the university, I went to the University of UNLV, which is actually really close to the Strip area. And so, you're influenced by a lot of the stuff that you see as like a young person growing up there. And so, a lot of the stuff that we did in college was a lot of drinking and partying and, a lot of stuff that I'm like, I could have done so much more in that time. And so the next poem that I'm going to read is called Coping. And this was basically, I come from a household where my dad drank a lot. And so also seeing it at home and just having it around me all the time, I got myself into trouble. So it's called Coping. Tecate, Bud Light, Corona, Dos Equis, Budweiser, Pacifico, rum, vodka, tequila, whiskey, escaping, freeing, flying, vanishing, forgetting, disappearing from reality, taking off, running away, getting out of the routine things that happened at home, no accommodations, no property to call my own, habitation purely for survival. On my way back to an address I have ingrained in my memory, followed by blue and red lights to a place where I've buried the existence of love in this loneliness. Handcuffs I've always worn on my wrist remind me to reevaluate my decisions. Heart full of guilt, tears cannot stop pouring down from Each migrant child, abused, neglected, unloved, grew up faster than wings could develop. A statistic written long before birth, before I became a shameful embarrassment, a body full of discomfort, unbecoming in my ignorant skin. All right. So the next poem that I'm going to share is, so a couple of years ago, actually about a year and a half ago, it'll be 2 years, I finally decided that I was going to start transition. I'd been struggling with even coming out in that sense after coming out for the first time, right? And so an interaction that I had at work with a young person that transitioning and their parents just really made me realize what I was really scared of. And it was rejection from family and rejection from from those close friendships and relationships. And so I finally made the decision to do it. And then I wrote this poem about my experiencing with the start of transition and taking hormones. And then this poem is called 37 going on 15. As my voice deepens, my emotions bury themselves in my left rib. Shed from my eyes become difficult. Looking for release and having cried in 7 months. It was that long ago that I started my transition. Hormones rage. I fall in love with brown eyed, long lashed beauties just as much as I drool over broad shoulders and strong jawlines. I fall out of love just as fast. Daydream of naked crushes more than usual. I am a 15-year-old boy living in a 37-year-old body. I light up at the thought of breasts, nothing I haven't seen before. I try not to giggle much. I try to carry a more masculine demeanor, although I'm sure of what that really means. I struggle with buying shirts because nothing is big enough to hide my chest. I take a binder to it and see it flatten into the figure I always thought myself to be. Layers on layers to keep everything in place to ensure I can pass in public. I don't shave anymore, at least not in the usual places. I have baby hair growing on my face. The moon cycles have stopped, but so has my severe depression. It seems more manageable nowadays. I hate the breakout on my back. I get anxiety at the thought of using gender restrooms because I never know who may be policing my pee schedule. On occasion, I still wear powder fresh deodorant to remind myself to stay soft. Mask my fear of never having the body that I want with cologne. Take pride in fresh haircuts from the all-inclusive barbershop where everyone knows me as they and him. I expect the moments where I'll get misgendered again, when I'll have to answer to my legal name, when my debit card gets swiped, being called sir, then ma'am, then here apologies, then here apologies, then here apologies, then here apologies, when all they had to do was ask. A voluntary second puberty that has made me even more unsure of myself, yet I know I am a step closer to being myself. An act of resistance to my trauma as my body prepares for its time to heal. And so with this transition and just in general in my life, like really struggled with like finding just kind of like having more love and being comfortable with where I'm at in life, and and just praising myself a little bit more. And so I actually wrote this poem for someone else, but I wrote it for myself. And just it's called If Love Had Direction. You re-traumatize yourself with the words of lovers lost, begin to doubt your own ability to love them. Love you. Love you when all that's left are hurtful words, when the empty of your ribcage wants to feel your heart pump again. You have been searching for so long, forgot what it feels like to love in your own beauty, to pour love in your own pain, to find joy, to love your scars, revisit them, then never turn back. Instead, you love here in the shadows of what love isn't. Half-assed love is still blind to the need for healing. You need to feel your heart rebuilding itself again. Instead, you tears. You want love to return, but maybe love was never there. So you still go looking for what you never found in the first place. Find new ways to punish your mischievous demons. Love. You are suns raised if you only knew how to face the east in the mornings. You are a wild moon with direction and purpose. Fail to see how goddesses should never hide behind mirrors, behind reflections of what lovers want you to be for them, how they want you to love them, how they want you to see them before you even get a chance to see yourself. It is hard to see yourself when pain is everything you know, when trauma is everything you see, when cycle is learn to live and love, when you've entangled yourself in so many directions that you cannot find the end to the rope, when you've been left with blisters on the tips of your fingers from trying. Love. You are warmth in early summer if you only knew how to let the breeze kiss your lips. You are the grapevine full of poppies in the spring, a sight everyone wants to see, but only a few know how to truly admire, so they pass you up. They watch with fire in their eyes, ride your curves, lick the sweetness of your charm, embellish their love for what they see on the outside, but never want to walk in your fields. Don't know how to caress your flowers gently, so they devour you whole, forget that you ever needed water. They suffocate you, watch your bloom die before its time. Before them, there was me, and before me, there were others. Before others, maybe there was you, and maybe you got lost somewhere before you knew who you were. Love. I cannot show you what you do not choose to see. I cannot teach you how to love the beauty in yourself. And I'm going to end with this last poem, and really working through a lot of the a lot of the insecurities and a lot of the depression, mental health, the things that come up in our mental health. I've learned to accept a lot of things and really have worked on a lot of my traumas and a lot of things that I've dealt with as a young person, in transition as an adult. And so this poem is called Renewal. I will not apologize for my pain, for the scars I wear unwillingly. This is my truth. These are my trials and errors. Beautiful freckles interrupt the juxtaposition of healing wounds and grave suffering. Skin learns to repair itself, leaving memory of lessons shaped in bumps and dents. Dead cells are scrubbed daily. Renewal is inevitable. Only positive affirmations run through my veins. Eyes are full of potential. They are lighthouses bringing me to safety. Legs grow roots into sacred soil. Arms vibrate of self-love wrapped around this body, this temple. Lungs expand in this loving chest. Mouth drips vibrant rhetoric. This is self-preservation. Flesh and spirit learn to coexist on this tumultuous plane. I am dirt and I am sky, grounded in the heavens of my own survival. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing your vulnerability and your story. Like, it's just, I know it can be a lot to share all your pieces of yourself, but it's so filling, and it just reminds us that we're all in this together, and all of our stories are different, all of our journeys are different, but they still have they have all these similarities, and I think that connection that we find. This is why I love poetry, and that's why I love vulnerable poetry. And so thank you, Andy, for sharing your words with us. And yeah, there's a lot of love for you in the chat. So, and then if you want to talk about your upcoming book, I don't know if you're having a release party or just information about how to get it or pre-order it.
Yeah, so I do want to just quickly, I want to give props to Community Literature Initiative and World Stage Press, whom we may be published through. I think, without those opportunities, I don't know that, with the push of those opportunities that are presenting themselves in the community, this is the way that we get to really share our words, and then we get to distribute, right, our stories and share our journeys with other folks that may connect. And so with that, my book is going to be released on December 16th. It's going to be a virtual release, everything with the pandemic that's happening. We want to keep folks safe. So it is going to probably be streamed through Instagram. And we're still working out the kinks, but if you want to follow my Instagram page, I'll definitely be updating folks on the details of that coming up. But yeah, December 16th. December 16th is the release. Thank you.
Okay, cool, great. Yeah, congratulations on your book. And then just throw your IG handle in the chat, and that way people can follow you and then connect with you in December 16th. So excited. Yeah, okay. So and also shout out to CLI and World Stage Press, because I know they're publishing a lot of really awesome folks and giving people opportunities to have their stories heard. So shout out to CLI and World Stage Press. So now we're gonna be hitting our last feature of tonight, and this is one of my I have so many words I could say about our next feature, Ingrid, but I don't even know where to begin. I really connect with a lot of her writings, and I really appreciate her sharing. And her, she hosted an open mic, and that was one of the first open mics that I went to, and I feel like I really kind of found myself as a poet there. So yeah, so I'm really excited that she agreed to feature for my open mic. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and read her bio. Ingrid M. Calderon Collins is an immigrant from El Salvador. Her work has been featured in Thimble Literary Magazine, Rabbit Oak, Moonchild Magazine, and 521, amid others. She was the hostess of a monthly poetry reading series, They're Just Words, featuring poets from all over LA County from 2017 to 2019. Currently, she runs a literary magazine called Resurrection Mag, where she encourages poets, artists, and photographers to show the world their joys and sorrow. She's the author of 13 books. She lives in Los Angeles, California with her husband, painter John Collins. So go ahead, Ingrid, and take on the mic.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. So I just want to say thank you to Caro, to Jessica, to everybody in here that I wish I could look in the face at. I miss being able to see the audience in front of me and feel the energy coming at me. I miss that. Like, I could start crying. I'm about to bleed in 2 days. So I'm like, I miss it so much. It's very different being in here and just knowing you're in here versus looking at you. But anyway, I just want to give a big shout out to Andy. You like broke my heart and mended it like the last 15 minutes. Like, holy fuck. I had never heard you, and I'm kicking myself in the ass because where have you been all my life? So I'm really grateful for that. And I wanted to start, and I want to thank everybody who's here that I know and that I don't know. Big hugs and COVID kisses. So I'm gonna start with this poem. It's not mine, but I felt it was really appropriate for what's going on right now in the world and how I feel about it. So I'm gonna let Charles Bukowski tell us of how we should be feeling right now. And then I'll go into my own. It's called Earthquake. It's from Mockingbird Wish Me Luck. It's really, really good. Americans don't know what tragedy is. A little 6.5 earthquake can set them to chattering like monkeys. A piece of chinaware broken, the Union Rescue Mission falls down. 6 a.m. they sit in their cars, they're all driving around. Where are they going? A little excitement has broken into their canned lives. Stranger stands next to stranger, chattering gibberish fear, anxious laughter. My baby, my flower pots, my ceiling, my bank account. This is just a tickler, a feather, and they can't bear it. Suppose they bombed the city as other cities have been bombed, not with an A bomb, but with ordinary blockbusters day after day, every day, as has happened in other cities of the world. If the rest of the world could see you today, their laughter would bring the sun to its knees. And even the flowers would leap from the ground like bulldogs and chase you away to where you belong, wherever that is. And who cares where it is, as long as it's somewhere away from here. I thought that was a good one to open up with. I love that man. Okay, so I don't know where to start because I get really nervous. I do have a book coming out on Thanksgiving, the day of slaughter, and it's about my period, about my menstrual cycle. I'm 40, gonna be 41 in about a month. And let me tell you, the body is changing and it's changing fast. And so when Andy was talking about their body changing in their own way, it was, I was like, back to what Caro said, right? Like you understand each other in the ways that you can, that there's certain elements in the way that people write that you're like, they get me in their own way. So I wanted to read some of the pieces from here. It began as a book of like symptoms and psychological nuances that happen when I'm bleeding. And then it just sort of turned into an ode to my mother, because I'm not close with my mother, but I want to be so badly that I sort of like tricked her into being close with me. you know? And I started that sort of conversation with her on May 5th of this year. And so I'll start with that. I called my mother with hopes to coax out a recipe of ham and eggs, a simple enough thing to figure out on my own, but I wanted the excuse to speak to her. I had a second reason. I wanted to hear our bloodied similarities. Please say all the words I know are in you, Mother. Guide me with all the women you have inside you. 1991. I was 50 and you were asleep, and rushes of waves of blood fell out of me, and I crawled to the bathroom, trails behind me, down my thighs, my feet, the carpet, the tub stained with me. I became what Mark 5 and Luke 8 described as the woman with the hemorrhage. Only it wasn't 12 years, it was 12 hours, and I lay in bed, a corpse bride with her husband deported and sleeping 2,808 miles away. Blanca Luz Calderon Somoza. So I called her and she told me that story, you know, and I was like, I was asleep in the next room and you were hemorrhaging, like, really? Like you didn't want to tell me anything, like, so it just sort of reminds me like how women endure and how people endure pain and suffering sort of silently, and they walk around and you're just sort of looking at people and you're like, oh, they're fine. You have no idea what's going on inside them. So the next one that I wrote is on August 18th of this year, and it was during the power outage that we had here in LA during that scorching 120-degree summer that we had. So I don't remember this unless I close my eyes and think back to my 6-year-old body and see through my 6-year-old eyes. Walter and I running in the dark streets, our mothers yelling for us while we laughed and squeaked at the mischief. A burning came out of every house, a fear and a letting go. I sucked at my mother's breast in the dark. A salty thunderstorm in my mouth dripped like lightning. Wet soil underfoot, cold tongues with sweet thawed mangoes dripping, a delicacy of textures. Walter smiling at my many arms disguised as tantrums. I was asked if I have nightmares of my past in this current climate, in this heat, in this humidity. When did I stop breathing? I am deranged for a solution. Nothing ever just goes away. That's the first mistake, to think it does. A disease is alive once you swallow. There's just a different variation of it, different geographies. I call my mother and she says in her most serious voice, "You always said this was how the world would end." I thank her for remembering. I always say goodbye with as many fevers as I can stand. I hang up. It's really hard talking about my mom sometimes because I love her as much as I hate her. I'll keep going with menses. Let's see. So this was written on October 13th. And I like to keep it real. I don't like to have too many analogies, and sometimes I have nothing but analogies, just depends on my mood. But this one's, I think, fluttered with both. Angry, overwhelmed, and sad. A sadness that isn't pitiful. In fact, it's enviable. I am always angry by default. What happens now is that I can calm it, not thoroughly, but temporarily. Enough to get from my kitchen to the bathroom without incident. I read bad erotica because I enjoy filling my mind with shit now and again. I lurk the ones I hate the most so that I can remind myself of how much better I am, even though I don't believe that. I say it because it settles the devil that sits on my corroded artery. It settles the change that seeks another storm. I remember my childhood and search passionately for the good parts, and I find none, so I make some up between the tragedy and then it's comedy. But usually I'm not laughing, I'm crying, but your nature, and you're beautiful. Nothing changes the breeze that sways you. But I am looking for my father and my mother and all the things that die, like seasons, flowers, love. I know now that you're tired is your strength. I try to remember the hair on my father's head, the smile, the laughter covered up by my mother's manicured nails, her elaborate Sunday clothes, her skinny legs and huge charisma. My anger turns into an amniotic sac. I am nothing but another deficient woman with curved hips. October 14th, 2020. I called my mother today to get some sympathy for the unease in my belly. Her voice glistens in my ear and I smile. I work myself into swallowing whatever she offers. I need to throw away whatever doesn't serve me. Yes, I know, but I also need to pick up whatever does. This cross is heavy and I wouldn't refuse an extra pair of hands. Defeated in 95 degrees in October, I am waiting for fall, for wind, for a leaf to fall at my feet. Instead, I paint my toes because I'm still wearing sandals while I grocery shop for bread and Epsom salts. I am in need of company, of a celebration for not being a coward. My mother reminds me that life is hard, that it's not for the weak. She says even though her knees are replaced and her breasts drape her like a scarf, she is a long night. She is a long day. Write yourself a love poem, she says. I hang up. And I'm not gonna read the love poem because I'm gonna leave it as as the ending to the book. So enough about blood, huh? But that's not even about blood. It was like the saddest story, but not really. So I also had a manic episode during the summer, and I wrote this book called An American Exorcism with My Stupid Face on it. There it is. See? And it was literally because I was just like sort of updating Resurrection Mag with all the features that I was putting as a schedule. And I had my Spotify list playing, and all of a sudden, like, Lament for My Cock came up by Jim Morrison. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, maybe I could just write for fun. I could just write Lament for My Cunt, you know, like just a fun little project. And what ended up happening is that I took all the songs that are in An American Prayer, and I just sort of wrote a very modern version of that with the climate of the world, the climate of myself, and made it into a book. So it's basically like his cadence, his, not ideas, but like mostly the cadence. And I sort of added my own meat to the carcass of this album. So I'm going to read a few of those. And this one, I don't know if any of you are familiar. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this album, right? So this poem is 10 to the 101 Freeway, and it's Dawn's Highway. So it's like in correlation with Dawn's Highway. Soldiers and children on the old road bleeding, demons haunt the young girl's hardened pastel mind. My mother and I, not my father, my grandfather, an Indian, Navajo, and the electric blue Buick with half a tank mourning a truckload of immigrants standing on a corner, bleeding from the knees. I didn't know what happened. Just that I wanted to have them lay on cotton, bathed with bellies full. They sat scattered on a sidewalk, bleeding to death from a longing, a pining, a crossing. So we pull over and offer them a ride. Well, Grandpa does, and I'm sitting behind. And that was the first time I saw love in the hands of many palms upturned. Flower beds and grasses filled the summer air. I can still see them, starved and bleeding, the ghosts of those bleeding immigrants, bleeding from crossing a barrier unknown until this day after they were fed and after they had slept. They're still in there, in my soul. Soldiers and children on the old road bleeding, demons haunt the young girl's hardened pastel mind. Blood in the streets in the town of La Puente. Blood stains the roof and the palm trees of Redlands. Blood in my lust and the miracle summer. Tarnished peach sun of plastic LA. Blood screams her brain as they rape off her virtue. Blood will be born in the birth of her mending. Blood is the storm directly upon you. Blood on the wall is following me. Ingrid, Ingrid, what did you die for? Ingrid says, nothing at all. So that was a real story. When we got to this country, we picked up a few young immigrants from Home Depot. This is like back in like 1988. And they were so young, and my grandfather and my mom and took them in and fed them, gave them some money, had them sleep in like the living room, and you know, just wished them well. It was such a disheartening thing to watch, just these young kids with the hope and dream that they came here with, you know. And I think of them often, thinking I hope they made it, because it's just a really sad reality. And do I have time for like one more?
Yeah, we have time for one more.
Okay, cool. Okay. So this one's called Starved Enemies, and I think this is Babylon fading, but I'm not sure. Fuck, I'm sick of clout. I'm sick of radiance of the mediocre. I'm sick of binding my opinions into spells. I'm sick of servants in hotels. I'm sick of vile men and their meek women musing themselves into an effigy of hard cocks and giggled baths. Death turns me on. It is a friend that kisses me into submission without first asking for permission. Poetry makes angels of us all. Where we once drowned, we swim. Where we once crowned, we sink. Fake paper buys us things. There is no other place like this. We are the jaws. We are the kings. We fuck our obedience into diamond rings. A feast for friends to lick the wounds of our decay. So thank you so much, everybody who's in here. This was a great pleasure to do. Thank you so much.
Wow, Ingrid, I always miss your poetry. It's I think Mauricio said it in the chat. Yeah, you know, I feel like I'm so used to hearing your poetry like every month back in the day before COVID. So it's always really great to hear your voice, and then there's just so much imagery and just like amazing magic in your stuff. So I feel blessed to hear it. So thank you so much for agreeing to feature. And then did you want to post your link for your website, or do you want to talk about Resurrection at all, or anything?
I want to talk about Resurrection because I want Andy to submit. Anyway, fangirl. So I run Resurrection Mag. I'll put the link in the chat. I actually just got a website for it. I'm really excited. It's not within my blog anymore, which was fine, you know, but I didn't want to do that. I feature a writer, a photographer, an artist every Friday. I try to. I'm booked up until January, which is amazing. I'm so grateful for everybody who sends in their work, you know. I love featuring people. It's my favorite thing. You find people like Andy and just and yeah, so I'll put the link there. I'll put the link to everything that I feel that I would like to share with everybody. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, that's great. Perfect. And so now we're gonna do a couple quick announcements from I think Jessica and Rosie.
Hi. Yeah, I have an announcement, and Rosie's on, and Chris, you can make an announcement too. Actually, he's going to make an announcement in the chat. But hi, everyone. And just I want to give props to everyone that's been at the mic, and to Ingrid, and oh my gosh, and to Andy and Nadia the llama. Oh my God, fire all night long. Well, day, right? It's afternoon. I'm so used to the night events. All afternoon. And also a big snap to Caro, our host. You rock, sis. I'm really enjoying the whole show. And happy 11th birthday to SoapBox Poets Open Mic. We started in November on the beach, the Venice Beach Boardwalk. That's what it all began when we said, step up to the mic, share your truth. And here we are. And I'm grateful for you for hosting it. And we're back, we're virtual. This is awesome. So the announcement I had is that I am going to be teaching Ekphrastic Poetry 102 starting this Wednesday. It's a free poetry workshop series, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And there's going to be 5 workshops. And it's going to be really exciting. We're going to be viewing, so ekphrastic is interpretation of a visual piece of art or a visual piece through poetry, interpreting it through poetry. We're going to be looking at an exhibit from a local art gallery called La Galeria Gitana in San Fernando, and they have an exhibit called Hollywood Comes to San Fernando. So we're going to be looking at those pieces, and I'm also going to be teaching some art history and sharing the influences of those pieces and some, classics, some masterpieces. And we're going to write poetry. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So you can just email me at losangelespoetsociety@gmail.com, or let me know here if you're interested. If you want to register, it's free, but I just have to get you the Zoom code. So that's how I keep track of who's in the class. So join me. And what else? Yeah, and then we have more announcements coming around. And thank you, and happy birthday to LA Poet Society. Again, the Soapbox was our first ever event. So this is our seed. This is where we began. This is our root. So thank you for everyone that's here, and I love it. I love all the energy tonight. It's awesome. And anyhow, we have more announcements. Thank you.
Did Rosie want to make an announcement, or anybody else?
Yeah, I'll make an announcement.
Okay.
Hi, thank you. This is such a beautiful reading. I'm so grateful for being here with all of y'all. So LA Poet Society is putting out an LGBTQ online journal. So we've extended the deadline to November 16, 2020. So if any of y'all want to submit, please submit. And I'm actually gonna put the flyer right now in the chat. So please check that out. Thank you so much. And thank you, Caro, for hosting. It was really beautiful.
And then, thank you. And then I think, Chris, did you want to make an announcement about the color of Voices of Color?
I do, and just want to give a shout out to my cousin just for being an amazing kick-ass leader. I mean, this is why it's in the family roots, right? It's amazing. And shout out to Carl for being a kick-ass hostess with the mostest, just bringing the fire and just keeping us all just, organized and everything. So I wanted to just let everyone know that LA Poet Society is extending their olive branch to now uplift and amplify Black and Brown lives. So on November 18th, it's a Wednesday, starting at 7 o'clock. We will be having our first ever episode of Voices of Color. It's a show designed to amplify, uplift, showcase Black and Brown lives through talents, spoken word, and poetry. And just come with your, for the first couple of shows, first of all, the first couple of shows we'll be doing Instagram Live with some special guests. We already have a guest lined up on November 18th. I don't want to say his name or give any hints because this guy is like just amazing. I talked to him yesterday and he's all ready to go and fired up, and just the energy is amazing. So November 18th, mark your calendar. It is a Wednesday at 7 o'clock on the LA Poet Society Instagram. Also, you can go on to my personal Instagram too, at MR_Wilson562. They'll be the same connection. We're all one big family. And I just want to give a shout out again to Jessica and Carl for being amazing. Thank you again for having me. And Voices of Color, November 18th at 7 o'clock. Tune in. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. There's so much great programming happening. That's great. And then we're going to do one more announcement, and then we're going to hop back on. We have 3 people on the open mic list, and then that's going to be the end of our afternoon. So Nadia, I think Nadia wanted to do a quick plug-in.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I just the video thing. Thanks. Hey, so I would like to share with you very quickly about the Farasha effect. Farasha is Arabic for butterfly. It's a community zine, and so far we have a little butterfly told me about the zine. So there's info like for community resources and opportunities to share motivational stuff, and basically it's all like themed about creating community and building community, and it can be like in your neighborhood or like creatively or however you like. We just put a voter themed issue with a compilation of guides and resources, and also Kato had a contribution from one of her highlights, which she researched on protesting safely, and which is awesome. So you should check that out, and it's on our Instagram at the Farasha Effect. And yeah, it's downloadable through Google Drive, but if you'd like to contribute or take part, everybody writes under butterfly code names if they would like to. You can have like an honorary butterfly code name. So yeah, there's that. And then also, I have my chapbook is on my website. You can download it if you want to, but that's mainly the thing I wanted to share is that. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nadia. Okay, so we're gonna hop back on the open mic, and then first it's gonna be Jason. Jason, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, thanks. So I have 2 poems here. I wrote these 2 instrumentals. I interviewed Slug from Atmosphere on my podcast, The Oddball Show, recently, and before I went on it, I listened to his instrumentals, and I read a couple poems to his instrumentals so I could have something to read at the end of my show, because I usually read something at the end of my show. So this one is from Mi Vida Local, and it's from the instrumental Jerome. The weather is instrumental in who I am, the son of Sam with a mutant pen, stabbing at the lyrical victim. When will we go to sleep again? It's 10:30, and the magician, I see through him. The light is dim and cowardice is in his system. Is it the one who's writing this, the hero or the victor? Mister, where's your sister? It's a hazy shade of winter. The day is grim, and it's either him or him. We'll see if there's a choice. The electoral vitriol, the summer stroll has turned to a winter sprint, and all we got left is a hazy shade of winter. Point fingers at the masters who have fingers on the plastic's burgundy button. The ones who say they stand for something usually stand for nothing. And then there's this one called Leap. And this was written to the poem, the instrumental Virgo from Mi Vida Local. So think for a second where the world is, where the stops and starts are, where the cars go. I am not, but I am not far farther. Farther we go to the end of the road. The farther we go, we choose to roam. The fall leaves are covered with snow, and I am still all alone. The farther we go, we realize we have no home. I sing for my supper like maybe I deserve some food, something other than the multitudes. I feel I'm the only one in this room who has something to prove. You left me in the stoop and I feel there's no room to move, so I look for a ladder, some rope. I look to the sky for something I can gather, maybe hope. I climb the dirt in my nails with this hole. It's deep and I want to get out, but it's getting harder to breathe. The fall is always harder than the leap. You know, I got it when I look at my watch, workaholic. I got $2 in my wallet, one for you if you need it. But both of these really, money does not defeat me. Don't let it defeat you. I have never had much, just enough for what I need. I don't need much, just some air to breathe. I don't need much, just some books to read. I don't need much just for you to leave me. I don't need much, just a second to think. I don't need much, just some love and deliverance, something other than medications to medicate my thinking. Something then other than bruises to remember the weekend, something other than laughter. I feel like I need a moment of vocation for someone is the reason to keep going. An ocean without a boat is still an ocean. A kickstart motor still needs oil. And you gotta keep moving. And we will get there, maybe after the bars close, maybe after stop signs go, maybe after World War wind blows, but we will get there. Just keep moving, soldier. We are in this together. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Jason, so much for sharing that. It was a good flow. I liked it. Yeah, thank you. So we have a few more open micers. Dara is gonna be up next.
Hey everyone, thanks for the space. It's been amazing. I already commented to people, but you're amazing. So I've been gradually getting the courage to share more personal things, but today I just have a thing that like brings me joy that I wanted to share a poem about as like a first time in front of a lot of people. So thank you. The smell of the wet soil after watering, plants one hopes to nourish, to live beside. For years, those years to come, you hope, never knowing which will thrive. I sing a little tune, avocado tree, that sprouted from seed, now flourishes in a small container. I wish it the greatest life, much longer than mine, with many more offspring, a brilliantly cared for existence, even when I am long gone. May we always sing love songs to the trees, whose shade and love will bring joy for many generations to come. So ostentatious are humans, some of us, so blind to think we have greater impact than a well-watered tree. That's all I have for today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for sharing, Dara. That was a very beautiful poem. I really appreciate it, and I know it can be hard to share, but I'm glad that this was a safe space for you. So thank you. Yeah, and I love the imagery in that poem. And then up next, we're gonna have Alex, who's actually the open mic host for another open mic from Los Angeles Poets Society. So and I'm usually there, so I'm glad that I can now bring her onto my mic. So Alex.
Hi, Caro. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. And yeah, my open mic is the last Wednesdays of the month via Zoom called One Mic, One Globe. I'll share two pieces. This one is called Two Colors, One Purpose. The brown hate the white in me. The white fail the brown in me. But all I want to do is unite the two for one purpose. Solidarity for our shared responsibility to nurture this sacred earth. But the brown regret the white in me, and the white forget the brown in me. An elder once sang for unity. The young booed his wisdom words. The water cooled the anger in my eyes and spilled out before them without a color to claim it. Because whether or not I am brown or I am white or I am both, We are all water, and my tears are your tears, are Earth's tears too. Thank you. May I share one more?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. This is called working title Water Baby. I'm not good with titles, so. I am a fragile beast, a feeling being, frantic brain, wavering emotions, tender veins, bones that ache, heart that quakes, with the pressure of this world on my chest. And when the weight is pressed down just so, right before the ribs crack, my fragility turns into rose quartz stone. My heart dances a reset rhythm. My nerves temper shocking jolts into numbing calm. My muscles kiss bones with tender tendons and lulling ligaments. Just when I thought I would crumble, somehow this body offers me up to water, knowing the medicine needed in tears, in bathtub, in hot spring, in river wash, in ocean baptism. I go to the water to drown the negatives, submerge this delicate self, awash in the truth of what I can and can't control. I reclaim my forgotten name. The water honors the flowing stillness of my rebirth. I am weightless but grounded all at once, cradled in the Creator's wisdom. I am soaking with revival, and I am no longer glass. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alex. That was so beautiful. I love all the imagery. I love all the water. And that one line, I am weightless but grounded all at once. Like, that really hit me. It was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Carl.
And then thank you everyone for being here. I'm really so happy. There's so many people here. We have one more open mic left, and then we're gonna say goodbye. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for everyone that showed up. You made this afternoon really special for me and I'm sure for everyone else. So our last open micer of the afternoon is Kelsey.
Hello. I'm excited to be here. Nadia let me know this was going on. And I was at a workshop, not at a workshop, but on the Zoom. Culturama is going on this month, which is being curated by John Brantingham. And there's workshops every morning on the weekend, and then there's a performance later tonight. Lynn Thompson and Liz Gonzalez will be there. So if you're interested in that, check it out. So the first prompt, we actually started from like a lyric type thing, and you had to break down the words into their sounds, and then you had to pick 7 consonants and 3 vowel sounds, and then make new words, and then use those words to sort of create a poem. So this is that one. Found lyrics in crumpled form. Tour the flower like a mouse. Pause here, pour out. Sour art, summer shadows. Play instead the uke for the poor old muse. Taking the nostalgia tour. Remember flower smells sweet even to the mouse. I pause to pour all the memories in. Sour art, summer house with bad dreams. A uke that plays in the dark makes a poor muse, but I tell the story anyways. Tour the dark uterus like a flower, like a mouse, pauses and posits femininity, pours out whiskey sours at the art house, long hot summers, play like gentle melody plucked from uke, you yourself a poor muse pickpocketing the night. So that was that one. And then I've been wanting to get back into short story, and I heard some people read one. So this is just the first few, not even a page of a new story. It's called The Story of Genuine Shawl. In the city, there lived a college graduate just recently moved back in with their parents, which the parents were thrilled about, of course. Not just for budgetary reasons, but sentimental. The graduate wore the same shawl almost daily, sometimes a scarf, sometimes as a twisted and knotted hair dress, sometimes tied around breasts as a makeshift bikini top. The shawl had been made by a favorite childhood teacher, Miss Villalobos. She wore it so often it had earned her the nickname Genuine Shawl, a name that fit her better than her real name had, a name now hardly used. Genuine Shaw had worked hard at her degree, but with the economy and the pandemic and the complete crapshoot the environment had become, she had quietly moved in back home, hoping her parents wouldn't notice, hoping she might figure out what she should do next. Her mother, who had in fact noticed Genuine had moved back in, also noticed the damper in her mood, the sag in her shoulders, the depressed way she had eaten her way through loaves and loaves of avocado toast. Seeing Genuine Shawl again across the kitchen with morning steam spiraling off the top of her coffee cup, she ventured to interrupt her thoughts. Genuine? Genuine Shawl looked up. Yeah? I was thinking it might be good for you to take some of that beloved avocado toast of yours over to Miss Villalobos' apartment and maybe chat with her about some of your choices. Genuine Shawl paused a moment and then offered, yes, I think that would be nice. You could pack a whole little picnic and make it a real treat for her. You know, she retired last year because of her eyesight. Miss Villalobos had always worn thick round glasses that glimmered with the various beaded chains that wound around her neck so that she wouldn't lose them, as often anyways. Genuine Shawl wished she had been better about checking in on her old teacher, who had generously given her phone and email numbers, but Shawl had become shyer as an adult and maybe lacked a bit of the self-confidence she used to have. College had not always been what she expected, and there were things she still had to struggle with. I will, the idea warming up to her. That sounds nice. Does she still live off the blue line? Yes, her mother, whose sense of organization defined her, always got a hold of people. So it will take some twists from there, but it was nice to try out prose. Thanks all for listening. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for sharing, Kelsey. Yeah, that was a really cool story. I want to see where it goes from there. So we're actually gonna do. I know we're over time, everyone, but we're gonna do one more open micer, and it's gonna be Mauricio, and then that is gonna be our closeout. So Mauricio, let's hear you. I know that everyone's excited. I've seen it in the chat, so.
First of all, Carl, you did an amazing fucking job hosting. I always knew like you had it in you, and it was great to see you like hosting and just being you and yourself and so open with everyone and just providing the space, kind of echoing like the teachings of like Ingrid, because I know like Ingrid has been such an open host, and I feel like I saw her in you. And I promise it's a quick one. Ingrid, you had mentioned about writing a letter to yourself. So I actually had a prompt that I wrote. It was a letter to myself, and I think it kind of fits with the message tonight. And I'll be quick about it. But I did want to say that something new in my year this year was that I actually left my job of 9 years to pursue writing seriously. So I kind of wrote this in one of those dark days when I was feeling doubtful, and it's called P.S. I Love You. Encumbered by your aspirations, paralyzed by your own power, your true strength rests underneath extra pounds and weary skin. Mental combat on the daily, fighting back the waves of sadness, punching air and kicking waves, you fight the villain with no form and push him back for one more night. You wear your heart on your bicep, a light brown birthmark, as badge of proof that evil could not make you bitter, and light still finds a way to shine through. And though some days you won't believe it, I'll tell you now so you remember, you are enough. Thank you, Caro.
you, Mauricio. That was really great. That was a perfect ending. You are enough. I don't think we ever hear that enough. Like I did, yeah. I think especially like in this world where everyone tries to get us down. So yes, thank you for that affirmation. Thank you so much for everyone for coming. I think like my biggest fear was that like no one would come and it'd just be me and the features and I'd be like, oh damn. But I'm really happy that all y'all were here and stuck around. And then the next one of these is gonna be December 12th. I hope a lot of y'all join us again next month. And yeah, I think that's all. Thank you again so much for Ingrid, Andy, and Nadia. You all were amazing. Thank you all the open micers. You filled my heart. And yeah, so I think that's all. Have a good night, or have a good afternoon, good evening, everybody. And yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Everybody
Goodbye.
rock.
Thank
You're all
everyone.
beautiful.
Have a wonderful night.
Awesome
Bye.
show.
You're awesome.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
also.
you.
Bye.
Lots of love to y'all. It's good to see so many of you here. Nadia,
Bye
you
bye.
It's great to see you and hear
Andy.
everybody and hear Magic.
Bye,
and your
everybody.
wonderful
Take it
readings.
easy.
Yeah,
Take care, everybody. I
Bye.
miss seeing all of your faces.
You too. Okay.
all
See you soon.
right. Dig it. See you. See you soon. See you next time. Caro, you rocked. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Big
Yay.
love. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye, everyone.
I'll see you later today, right, Jessica, on the Zoom? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I'll see you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.